Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Lagniappe. I'm hosting today. I'm Dale Liesch, and I've got a cough drop in my mouth, so I apologize. I'm here with
Scott Johnson,
Brady Petree,
and Kyle Hamrick.
I mean, it's a dealer's choice here. You can either hear me suck on a cough drop or hear me cough into the mic over and over again.
I mean, it's just added ASMR for our listeners here. Just roll it around in your mouth a little bit, provide that
Especially for
sound.
the ear, nose, and throat specialist, this episode is for you.
I personally hate ASMR. I can't stand it. So
Some of it's all right.
this is my own personal hell here this afternoon. We're here, and we're going to start by talking about our cover this week, which I know last week while I was sick, y'all talked about the snow, the historic snowfall, and all that good stuff. And boy, I was real sick, so I missed all of that.
Yeah.
But we have we did our cover in a little bit of an interesting way this week. We let you, the dear readers and listeners of Lagniappe, hopefully, send us in pictures that you thought would make a good cover. We chose the one we liked the best. That I think it's one that kind of encompasses Mobile with the oaks overhanging and a cute little kid, making a snowball. But how did we come to that? How many entries did we have, Brady?
We had a little over 1,300, I believe, entries for this photo.
Thank you so much for sharing your snow photos with us. They were all wonderful.
Absolutely, people came through in the clutch. I mean, there were there were honestly, out of those 1,300, there were several hundred that I think were probably good enough for a cover.
There's a photo of the Sanger. There's a photo of the Sanger that needs to be like art. It was beautiful.
One of my favorites was a snowman on the beach, and you could clearly see the Gulf right there behind it. And you had the sand and the snow all mixed together with the sun. And there were just a lot of really, really good options for the cover. But this one, it really just kind of encapsulated how all of us felt that day. We felt like, and so it turned out fantastic.
And the little man on the cover is Constantine Martin, according to what is written in our paper, and the photo is by Alexandria West. So way to go,
4-year-old Constantine, first time he ever saw snow, and you can tell by his reaction.
I mean, no one is happier to see snow than little Constantine. I'm telling you what right now.
Just over the moon for it. So absolutely,
super cute.
Yeah. It's a good-looking young man. He has a good career waiting for him.
He should be a television weatherman. I'm already predicting.
Well, that's what he's interested in, was meteorology.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
That's true.
He's got it. He's got it made.
He's off to a roaring start.
All right. Well, we're not gonna spend a lot of time talking about the snow because y'all did that last week. So let's get into something you wrote about this week, Brady. And you went to the city council meeting this week, and it was a real humdinger of a meeting, is my understanding.
That's one way to put it.
So we. You wrote about a possible increase in lodging tax and the salary for the next mayor. So tell me about those discussions.
Yeah. So first thing, probably going to see an increase in the mayor's salary. That's been talked about a lot.
What are we talking
recently.
about?
Talking about around a $70,000 jump from $125,000, which is what Mayor Stimson makes now, and whoever ends up succeeding him will make, if the council decides to pass this, will make $195,000.
And it goes into effect the 2025 after in November of 2025 when the new mayor takes over.
Correct. So whoever it may be that takes over as the next mayor will see that pay increase immediately. And this is something that Mayor Stimson said, he's long felt needed to be addressed. The mayor in the past 40 years since 1985, which is when the city made the change to a mayor-council form of government, the mayor's only had 2 raises in that time frame. And so he said it's long beyond time for another significant raise for the mayor, because he wants to attract more quality candidates. And, it's a lot of work to, and he even said, I know this is a service job, but, there's a lot of work that goes into overseeing, the day-to-day operations of the city. And granted, he has, deputies that help him out with certain things. And, but still, 2 raises over 40 years. I don't think any of us would be too happy over for 2 raises over a 40-year span. But
I think even teachers do better than that.
I think so. Yeah. So, but he said it's long overdue. And since he's outgoing, he said, it's hard for a sitting elected official to go out and advocate for that they need a raise, if you're elected to serve. And he said, since I'm outgoing, I want whoever takes this seat next to benefit from it.
Yeah. But why not just raise this when it becomes a problem? I mean, we already have two good candidates who thought it was worth jumping in the race already. So, I mean,
yeah, but calling it doing it when it's a problem is sort of like it's kind of subjective as to when it's a problem. When are who makes the decision that the candidates suck and we need to raise the pay?
Well, I guess they just did when they said it wasn't good enough for them, and they need a higher. They're like, okay, the pool isn't good enough. We got to jump this.
I don't know, it seems kind of offensive.
Yeah, it does, kind of backhanded.
See if we can bring anybody else in here.
Yeah,
to the race. Yeah,
because cities on the Eastern Shore have already bumped up pay for their mayors up ahead of the 2025.
Right. And
this would make Mobile's mayor the highest paid?
Highest paid, yes.
Yeah, by a lot,
highest paid in the state. I believe the next closest is Walt Maddox in Tuscaloosa, and I think his is around 160,000, somewhere around there. Birmingham, I think, is around 125, but their mayor also gets, I think, around $20,000-$25,000 expense account of some kind that he's able to use. So, but yeah, he will be the highest paid mayor in the state if the council approves it next week.
Yeah. Just when have we had a shortage of candidates?
I'm with you, man. I hear you, and that's gonna be a lot of the consternation with this. Is that anytime you talk about an elected official getting a pay raise, it's usually a pretty contentious debate, except if you're in Faro, when apparently nobody cared.
Yeah. Now in Spanish Fort, though, if I remember correctly, they raised theirs, I think, last summer, and there was like a big talk about how we need to raise this up so that we can get more people to run for this city.
Yeah,
to be involved.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the work involved is probably worth a little bit more money than he's making, but
I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that the council is going to approve this either. I mean, Councilman Carroll said that he wanted to hear from his constituents. He wanted to know what they thought. He wasn't fully sold on the idea. And Ben Reynolds kind of has flip-flopped on his stance on it. He originally was opposed to it until he found out more information, but now he seems for it. So it could go either way. I figured they'll vote on it next Tuesday, but right now it's kind of up in the air as to whether or not they'll
go for this in Mobile, that's only for the mayor's pay, right? They're not going to raise the city council.
They just raised the city council last
year.
I think it was before the last election cycle. Was it not?
Yeah, it was like late. It was like mid-October. Something like that. Yeah.
Well, that would have okay. Maybe it was this year. Then I don't remember. Everything runs together for me.
It does.
Man.
January's been a long month. It has.
It has been a long January. I don't have a cute segue, so I'm just going to say, in county news, there's been some issues with bonds through the court system, and now it seems like we're poised to see the sheriff's office take over ankle monitors.
Yeah, Brady, you wrote that story. You can.
I'm sorry, Brady. For some reason, Brady.
No, it's wrong. It's supposed to be my byline.
We ran into an issue. Yeah, Brady got credit for your story.
Look, you wrote that story. You want the credit?
I appreciate the credit for it, but I'm going to defer to Scott on this one. He has a little bit more expertise.
Boy, that really threw me for a loop, Scott. I was like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure Scott wrote this. I haven't read that story.
No, it's all good.
Had me panicked for a minute. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, the issues with the private companies running these pretrial monitoring programs for people on bonds is really come to a boiling point. There's more likely than not going to be a lawsuit involved in all of this. So and
there's some constitutional claims involved in that lawsuit, correct?
Yeah, they would be built on that. The sheriff's office is trying to take over this ankle monitoring kind of program for people who are on bond, have been charged but not convicted. Basically, if you get a serious enough charge, violent crime kind of allegations, they wanted to, this program allows you to go out with conditions. So you submit to being tracked. If you leave your house or you're going outside of the parameters of your bond orders, then you can be picked back up and put into jail. So over the last 6 months, there have been issues with these private companies either not taking care of their ankle monitoring, charging the batteries, replacing the batteries, or not responding in an adequate time to to stop what has ended up becoming some pretty bad incidences. That one murder was involved.
Okay.
Where someone's battery died, and he was able to leave his little parameter unknowing to the police officers or law enforcement. Anyway, long story short, there's one company who has maintained a good reputation and they would basically be put out of business with this. And they claim that not only is it not a competitive process of what they've done to this point, where they've ordered, essentially they've launched a $1.6 million program in the first year. They awarded it to Shadow Track out of Louisiana. They're claiming that's not a competitive. It wasn't a competitive process to award that contract for those ankle monitors. And they also claim that you're putting us. It's that there's a Fourth Amendment allegation where the law enforcement shouldn't be able to monitor people who have not been convicted.
Right, correct, right.
And I think that's what they're going to try and go after. I think it might be a novel case from what I've been able to pick up. And,
wow.
From the attorneys involved, the county attorney doesn't seem to think it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. The business owner obviously does. So we could end up where this is going all the way to this, state Supreme Court, or if it's filed in federal, it might end up in appeal in a
federal Supreme. Could be at the supremest of Supreme Court.
It could go all the way, or it could, and there is some, issues out there where, tracking is considered a search under the Fourth Amendment, and you have to have a warrant anytime you do it. So there might be some good arguments there. It might be all fluff. We'll see.
All right. Well, we'll keep y'all updated on that story as it unfolds. It's definitely pretty interesting, and we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back with sports sans Tommy Hicks in just a minute.
We're down in our Alabama town. Lagniappe Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Lagniappe Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
It's just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Down in our Alabama town, Lagniappe Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Lagniappe Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
And we're back with sports, and there's nothing wrong with Tommy Hicks. I know he's getting up there in age. He's perfectly fine, probably healthier than me. He just happens to be at a sports writers conference.
But let's be honest, Tommy's going to be writing when we're all retired. Like he's going to
I'll be long dead, and he'll still be writing sports.
1,000%.
Tommy's the hardest working man in sports. He is truly a machine, a white-haired machine.
Okay. I hope he listens.
And I'll tell him to his face if he doesn't.
Yeah, we know. And then he's going to punch you in the stomach. We actually have a bit of breaking news for our listeners in this segment, and which is why we went ahead and did it without our sports editor in tow, and that's because Super 7 has decided that Mobile is going to host at least a few of the championships coming up. Correct?
Yes. Got a call shortly before we started recording here. Tommy, who is in Montgomery for the Alabama High School Athletic Association executive board meeting. He's up there attending it because there was going to be discussions today about the future of the Super 7 high school state championship, football state championship games. And there was a lot of talk about the potential for Mobile to get a share of those games moving forward. There was speculation that maybe Troy or Huntsville would also get a share of it. But for right now, it looks like the games are going to be split between Mobile and Birmingham. And the way it's going to break down, at least for the next 4 years, is Mobile will host the 2026 and 2028 championship games, whereas Birmingham will host 2025 and 2027.
And Mobile's hosting them at where?
Hancock Whitney.
Okay.
They're hosting at Hancock Whitney Stadium. There were a lot of requirements that the AHSAA had to get approved to make these changes. One of them was the amount of suites that certain stadiums had, and Hancock Whitney could match that. Whereas I don't think Troy's football stadium could, and I don't think Huntsville has a facility for it either. So Hancock Whitney was well positioned to get some of these games, and the AHSAA has made it official. We'll at least get 2 games of it. And I think it's pretty good time because it gives Mobile and South Alabama to a full year to get their stuff in order before they have to worry about hosting anything.
Right.
So,
And Birmingham's done it before.
and they've done it before. They did it last year, and so they'll be able to just pick right up with the 2025 championships and give Mobile a little bit of time to get their ducks in a row, if you will.
Well, that's awesome. Another big sports news, and I was downtown, so I can tell you that there's absolute downtown Mobile is bursting with energy because of the Senior Bowl that's happening on set. The game is Saturday. The practices, which a lot of people argue are the most important thing as far as the prospects are concerned, is happening right now. It's one of the best rosters I can remember.
Yeah.
And we had a story on the website about how Jim Nagy said it was probably the best roster they've ever had for the Senior Bowl. It's a great Senior Bowl. I'm really looking forward to it. And Brady, you are covering some stuff for the Senior Bowl. And you're not from around here, so talk to me about your thoughts on this year and the Senior Bowl in general.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to kind of supplement Tommy in covering the Senior Bowl the past couple of years that I've been with Lagniappe, and this year, honestly, I mean, the past couple of years, you've had a couple of names on the roster that really get you excited, but if you look up and down both the American and the national roster this year, there are a lot of names to get you interested in the game. I mean, especially the quarterbacks. Like you mentioned, you've got Dylan Gabriel from Oregon. You've got Jalen Milroe from Alabama, Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, and just a host of others. And, you've got a lot of great offensive linemen, which I know that isn't the sexiest position. A lot of people don't really care about that. But you've got a lot of big-time names, a lot of good in-state guys. And just from the clips, I've been seeing a lot today on social media of a lot of NFL writers and scouts who are here in town for the Senior Bowl. I've been seeing a lot of clips, and it looks like the practices are really intense because, most of the time, if it's for the NFL Pro Bowl or if it's for a high school showcase or even a lot of these college, all-star games, if you will, or draft showcases, there tends to not be a lot of effort put in because nobody wants to get injured in these games or anything like that, but there seems to be just an overwhelming amount of talent at this year's Senior Bowl, and it seems like that during the practices, a lot of the players rather are really going above and beyond. I know Jalen Milroe made a lot of good throws today, and that's something that a lot of people are pointing out. A lot of people are talking about if he has a strong Senior Bowl performance, he may end up getting taken in the first round. Which
I've heard I've heard going to the Giants, which God bless him.
Oh, God bless both of them. That's gonna be an interesting pairing. I don't know if it'll work.
I love Jalen Milroe, and if he'd come out last year, I would have said no doubt first round. I think he's still a first round talent.
Yeah.
Probably didn't have the season he wanted to this year. But
after the Georgia game, he looked like a lock to go top 10, and then the very next week against Vanderbilt, it just all fell apart.
He's going up those draft boards, so good for him. I just hope he avoids the Giants.
Yeah, that's okay.
You can avoid the Giants and Jets. I'm
about to say just avoid
or the Browns. The Browns is another one.
Oh, that's another one.
Yeah. No, you need to avoid those teams like the plague.
Yeah, if you can avoid those three, you'll be good.
He can't help it, and he'll go where he's drafted.
Yeah.
I'm probably happy to do so.
Oh, absolutely. If you get that first round money, you don't care where you go.
Yeah. But I'm going to be interested to see where he's projected after this week of practice.
Yeah, same here.
A lot of fun events happening with the Senior Bowl. You've got the Eli Young band doing the concert this week. I believe is that Friday night?
I believe it's Friday night. Yes,
that's Friday night. You've also got the player parade, which is one of my family's favorite events. We go downtown and we set up like we're getting ready for a Mardi Gras parade, and then people players throw Reese's at us and signed footballs. It's magical. It's downright magical. So I would
magical.
I think Tommy said he and I were talking about the parade last week, and I may have these numbers wrong, but I think he said something around each player is going to have like 20 to 30 signed miniature footballs that they throw to the crowd. So there's going to be a ton of stuff to throw out, and like a ton of Reese's, just all kinds of candy. It's going to be I always love
any word on doubloons.
No doubloons.
No doubloons.
Nobody cares about doubloons except you and
take note,
some older
people.
Folks.
You have to wait a couple of weeks for the doubloons, buddy. I'm sorry.
February 14th, Valentine's Day, I believe, is your first taste in downtown Mobile of doubloon power.
Love it.
All right. I want to switch gears a little bit, and I'm still talking to Brady, so I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Brady and I have intense sports discussions throughout the day because we sit right across from each other. And one of those discussions occurred on Monday after the fallout from the AFC Championship game. And this joker, guys, believes, like a lot of folks, they're wrong, but like a lot of folks, he believes that the NFL and therefore the referees in football games want the Chiefs to win and will do whatever it takes the Chiefs to get back to the Super Bowl. Now, here's why you're wrong, and here's why the people that think that, see, this all came about because the Bills, and this is right. They had the game stolen from them by the refs. That's absolutely correct. I agree with you on that. That should have been Josh Allen should have had that first down.
Yeah.
And it should have happened. Where I disagree with you is that it was some sort of deep state, plan by the NFL to get Taylor Swift's audience involved in the Super Bowl. Here's why I disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
It is the most popular sporting event in North America.
Yeah.
Every single year. Hundreds of millions of viewers every single year. They're pretty much maxed out on viewers. They don't need additional viewers. So to put the reputation of the league on, to damage the reputation of the league for what amounts to a pittance of new viewers is
But don't
ridiculous to
forget-
me.
And speaking of reputation,
Big reputation.
Taylor Swift, you are
agree.
severely discounting her fandom in the
No,
Swift
I know she's
Yes.
got a lot. I know
It
she's.
is.
I know
You are
she's got a lot of
severely
fans.
discounting the money these people will pay.
Also,
People-
for those, obviously we're an audio medium only, but for some reason Kyle has inched very close to me.
have
With
What
the
is this?
microphone. I don't know why.
I
Is this
I don't know.
crossfire? Or have we?
I don't know.
I
was
have
a little-
aligned
If he's
with
on
Brady
if he's on
this.
your side on a
I'm
sports
on-
take, it's
I am
wrong.
on
I'm
Brady's
starting-
side.
I'm starting
on
to rethink
Brady's
my
side
position
in
here.
this. You shouldn't rethink
Buffalo
your
Bills
position.
got that
it
game.
makes sense. It's entertainment. This is an
They're
entertainment
already maxed
field.
out. They're pretty much maxed out on viewers already,
But
though. They
don't
get
forget
hundreds of
what
millions of
Gordon
viewers.
Gekko said
Do
in
you-
Wall Street, greed is good.
Well, look.
These people want the money, Dale.
I'm just going to lay this out
I
there.
disagree. I don't think it's that big a
They
deal
want
to them.
they want the
Do you-
viewers. They want the money.
Do you know the numbers that the Super Bowl will put up if the Chiefs win? And Travis Kelce's getting up there in age in terms of football longevity. Chiefs win. Taylor Swift comes out onto the field. Travis Kelce announces he's retiring. He proposes to Taylor Swift. Do you imagine?
They're going to watch the
The
whole game
internet
on the
is-
chance that that's going to happen. No,
what
The
if
Think of
internet
the
will
advertising.
break.
No.
Think of the
The
advertising.
internet would.
the advertising set up
Chad,
beforehand. Nobody knows that that's going to happen. That's a
The,
prop bet.
the NFL knows it's going
That's
to
a
happen.
prop bet, but it's not.
The NFL knows it's
No,
going to happen.
yeah,
That's how they
whatever.
sell it to
That's how
advertisers.
they
You know,
sell
there's a-
the
You should bet on
advertising.
that happening.
There's a
and it'd be like,
don't bet.
positive correlation between the people who think the refs stole that game and the people who betted on that game.
Yeah, fair enough.
Specifically, Dave Portnoy, who bet $1 million on the Bills. So, we say this about players who make mistakes and errors in games. You can't boil down a loss just to a bad call. I mean, I know
Thank you, Scott. Smart man.
you can't. We say that about players when they make mistakes. I think we should extend.
That's true, except
the
for when it
same
comes to
courtesy
Alabama.
to
Alabama
referees.
only loses because the refs let them lose.
This is the Georgia fan whose fan base was ready to
That's true.
absolutely destroy a poor walk-on for running into the referee on the sideline.
That's true. He did-
One play can't ruin. That's all I saw on social media after that.
That's
Now,
true.
that one play ruined the Bulldog season. Like, come on, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but he doesn't really bark at us, so he's reasonable.
Oh my god!
he's done it before.
No,
He has
Done it one too many times before.
I do
One
feel-
time was too
I do
many.
feel bad for that kid who ran into the ref, but whatever. I don't think.
Don't
I
feel
mean, I
bad
can't
for
say.
him.
I can't say it shouldn't have been called, but
Man, keep your head on a swivel, kid. You're on the sideline.
All right.
Let's go.
Keep the ref. Keep your head on a swivel. It's a football game.
Got to get your head in the game, people.
That poor ref is 50 years old trying to run out a guy running a 4.40.
That's fair.
Let's be fair.
All right. Well, we won't bore you with our football takes any longer. We're done. We will come back with our third and final segment in just a minute.
Just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
We're back with our third and final segment today, and we're going to jump right into the state legislature. Kyle, you wrote a story kind of previewing what's on tap for this legislative session, and I want to start by asking, will we see a gambling bill?
We may.
Okay.
There's always a chance.
But what's the likelihood for real, though?
The likelihood for real, that's still being figured out. But there's some conditions for it. It would have to come from the Senate, is what Chris Pringle told me.
Okay.
There is, because the House proposed it last year, got through the House, failed in the Senate. They had to go to conference committee. It just didn't work out. So the House is done with the whole thing. It'd be up to the Senate to bring it back. And then I heard from another local lawmaker that possibly one of the conditions for voting in Garland Gudger of Coleman to be the new Senate pro tem was that there could be some gambling talks come up in the Senate. So,
But you're trying to work minus Greg Reed. So you're not going to have
gotta
a
work
senator.
minus. That's right. So you'll be down one vote who was yes. So you'd have to get somebody else to change their no vote to a yes vote.
Yeah.
Again, this is not a visual medium, and for that I apologize to everyone who can't see this, but why on earth are you holding your mic like
I'm
that?
glad you brought that up. I didn't want to do it twice in one episode.
I
so.
just thought I would do it just to mix it up because I wanted to cross my legs. I'm kind of comfy back
Yeah.
here where I'm at, folks.
I like it.
He
I encourage it. But I'm also holding my mic weird. So.
he looks like he should be wearing Tommy Bahama while he holds that mic. I can't explain
I
it
would
other
love
than that.
to wear Tommy Bahama
Like
right
you
now.
need to have that needs to be a lawn chair, and you
I
just
would
look
love
very
that.
you look
I would
very
love
comfortable.
that.
You
I
look
would
very
love that.
comfortable.
Very
and
comfortable
it's
here.
making me uncomfortable.
Well, I'll tell you what else is getting folks uncomfortable.
Please tell me more.
The Jubilee bill as filed by Matt Simpson.
Not as uncomfortable as the fish,
That's right.
but
Or as the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Marine Fisheries Division.
so what's going on with that? It doesn't look like
So-
it's going to pass, does it?
Matt is not sure. He's going to do his best to get it through. There's some heavy sorry, folks.
I'm not.
There's some heavy opposition to his
Yeah,
bill
there's some heavy cough position to
oh my god.
to me as
Can
Can
well.
we
But
just
anyway,
end it early?
Can I leave? Like,
Yeah.
Matt says that there is some pretty big opposition to
And before we get too far,
cutting
yeah.
the requirement for a fishing license to take part in a Jubilee.
And right now, as the law states, if you want to participate in a Jubilee, you have to have a
A
deep sea
valid
fishing license.
saltwater
Saltwater
fishing
fishing
license.
Depending on what fish you pick up.
Yeah,
Hey, state-
depending on a fish.
State of Alabama, that's absurd.
It is absurd.
That's
It is
absurd.
absurd. Because a Jubilee, the whole thing about it is you don't have to use a hook. You don't have to use a line or a rod. You just go out and grab a flounder. But no, you have to have a saltwater fishing license. And it came to a head last summer when a 66-year-old guy in Fairhope, they say that he picked up one too many flounder, and they tried to write him a ticket for it, and he was later thrown in jail for disorderly
Now,
conduct.
to the credit of the Marine Resources Divisions, every single flounder he picked up was under slot or it was too small. So there was some more facts to that
It
case.
was going to die anyway.
Yeah.
and that's also in dispute. But yes, all right.
Yeah, that's it. That's in dispute. But that's another story. So yeah, he is going to try his best. Matt Simpson's going to try his best to get this thing through because he believes in it, and he believes you shouldn't have to pay the state to go and pick a fish up off the ground.
Why can't we just make this local legislation? I mean, nobody else in the state is going to understand what the heck this is.
That is true. Good question.
They probably have never been to a Jubilee. Maybe probably don't even know it's happening. So we could just pass this as a local bill, special to Eastern Shore, and I feel like it'd fly through.
Well, if people came down from different parts of the state to take part in the Jubilee, then you'd have to figure out a way to like not charge them for a fishing license to take part in
He's
it.
not talking about not charging locals. He's talking about passing it on the local
Yeah,
level.
I mean, we've got the
legislative delegation.
We've got some kind of special setup with the Cedar Point fishing pier where you don't have to have a fishing license for Alabama residents. So, I mean, that kind of stuff is possible and it's not unprecedented. But
Yeah.
Why can't we just do that over there? It would basically
that
cut out the
could be
whole.
something they should look into.
Maybe.
See if it work. If he really wants to get it done.
Maybe you need to elect me as your next representative.
Well, you're going to have to move to Daphne.
There we go. Are they
have to move to
raising the
Daphne.
pay for representatives anytime soon?
Not that I've heard of yet. Not that I've heard of
Well,
yet.
you know
but
what?
speaking of getting voted in Daphne,
Okay.
there are
speaking.
several voting rights bills that will come up in the legislative session to create.
You're an American treasure.
To create.
He's a Segway
Thank
treasure.
you. To create early voting and no excuse absentee voting.
No excuse absentee voting or early voting is an interesting take for me, because that was one. That's an interesting issue, because that was one that was definitely more of a proponent, a proposal coming from the left.
That's
for
right.
years and years and years and years. But it's one that, thanks in large part to Donald Trump, has become sort of one that is popular on the right now.
Yeah.
So
Definitely more popular than it used to be.
I find that very interesting.
It's very interesting.
I don't know how successful that will be. Early voting now, no excuse absentee voting's been on the radar of the legislature for many years. I know that the former Secretary of State was a proponent, so I'm curious if that one has a little bit more juice to it.
We shall see the early voting one that would open the ballots for like 11 days prior. That one definitely has an uphill battle coming up ahead to it. But when I did a story after the November general, I talked to some Republican lawmakers about like some no excuse absentee, and they were like, you might probably need to do it to give people more options on election day. So there's something that could come up. And then more vaguely, they're talking about a package of law enforcement bills to make it, to like help solve the crime problem that's going around cities in the state right now. The details on that are vague, but Chris Pringle did tell me that one bill would give police the power to pick people up on warrants from different states.
All right.
So that's
staying
one to
on the
look out
legislature a little bit, I want to talk about a story that I wrote for the paper. It had to do with the pharmacy board, who may or may not be looking for a new executive secretary. I have not been able to get anybody to confirm one way or the other if Donna Yateman still works for the pharmacy board. But I know that the Sunset Committee is very serious about going after these kind of paying more attention to these licensure boards, professional licensure boards. And I know that one of the conditions of the Sunset bill that they're going to try to push through the legislature this year for the Sunset Committee, the one sponsored by the Sunset Committee members on a 4-3 vote, it was recommended to be approved, was one that would require the pharmacy board specifically to hire a new executive secretary. But as for what the current secretary is doing, I do not know. But it's, this is largely due to stories that we have written in the past about. It started with the massage therapists board, and wrote a little bit about the dental board and the pharmacy board. It really does seem like lawmakers are paying more attention. And as a reporter and writer and editor, I find that, I don't want to say life affirming, but
it's cool.
But it is career affirming, right?
Very career affirming. Very cool.
So I like
change.
that. And I wanted to give us a little, Lagniappe, a little shout out for the work that we've done. All of us have done on legislative issues. In
do a
the
little
past.
backpack right here.
Yeah. It's sometimes it pays off.
The microphone.
On that note, we'll call it a day for Lagniappe. We've been here long enough. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.
The Lagniappe is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Some Pole Sounds and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lagniappemobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.